Hey guys, it's me. I'm coming on strong. Hope you guys are all doing well and feeling blessed no matter where you are in the world. The reason why I'm coming on today is because of something that I've noticed in my journey that I feel is very lucrative and important to share with you all. In the cases of which I feel like all of us are ascending, all of us are starseeds or championing our 144 here, or we're empaths, or we're on the journey together. We are light bearers, we are light shiners. We're bringing this to the world, to the masses. So I wanted to point out something because I think this would be very pivotal for someone who is just coming onto the journey, because as you're going through your tests and your trials, you may not understand what's going on. And I feel like in a little bit of hindsight, I kind of have a grasp on another topic that I want to bring up today, which is like actually learning what certain, I would say I'm going to use three, but what's like three particular passages that Jesus used a lot to profess with, that I think that in our past lives, and I can say this wholeheartedly, okay? In my past self, I used to sin, trespass, do all kinds of shady things at times. And I say that with a light heart because from where I stand now, like I did do things in ways that I think most of us are compelled to do things living in a world of lack and maybe a world of sin. And when I started ascending, I couldn't put my finger on what the feeling was like. I couldn't put my finger on like what was transforming inside of me. But what I could actually put my finger on was that I was changing in ways I couldn't understand. Okay, ways I couldn't even believe. Now, why I say this is a little different is because, as I have said in past, I'm a higher self channeler. But in my past self, when I did come on, let's say, to the journey, it was nothing like this. It was still in the same instance, something different. I had different abilities, but I'm saying the time, the feeling, the change that's occurring right now is so profound and different than how it felt 12, 13 years ago. Right now, with all of us coming on, it is such an earth-shattering and earth-shaking, momentous, like motivated movement that we're all working towards. And I know that you may not think that that's what's happening with all the havoc and chaos that's going on, but look to everyone around you. We're changing. We're moving. We're mobilizing way more than we ever did, at least in my lifetime. At least that's all I know. If you're someone who's a lot younger, let's say in your 20s, you've probably seen a lot of havoc for a big portion of your life. But for those of us that are a little older, we do remember a time that things did kind of make more sense, or what we called sense, matrix sense, right? But that's not the point of my story. And that's not the point of this. Why I say that Jesus was trying to show us how to ascend, or what should be taking place while we ascend, as Jesus is an ascended master. What it was that he was always saying things like, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? That was one. So why I feel like those that are ascending will be probably the only ones that understand that, and maybe others will too, and I really pray that you are. Sorry, I had to take some water. But for those of us in our past self, I can honestly say we came from a place that we were kind of like reckless. We were reckless with our soul. We were reckless with our heart. We were reckless with our, let's say, our intuition. We were reckless with everything else. And we lived in somewhat a 3D mammalian styled, like progressive life. And as we started ascending, we started seeing these changes just envelop inside of us. We just started bubbling over. We couldn't understand why we were making the moves we were making. There was this instance of understanding that we were transforming, and it's like as if God was taking us by the hand saying, hey, come with me on my path now. This is the way you're going to be led. And in this instance, I feel like Yeshua, Jesus, is our mentor, is our king, is our Lord when it comes to how to do this, how to excel, how to move into the ascension journey a little more easier, a little more breezier. Because I think I found this out through my time. Like I said, I've been on this journey now for I think like two and a half years now. And this was something I didn't understand at the beginning. And I'm not saying I want to take away from your situation, but maybe you're going through this and you're like, why am I getting so many tests about this one thing? Or why am I getting people treating me like crap in these situations? Or why are so many people hating me? And I think what I wasn't understanding then, what I do understand now, where it was moving me to, where it's moving you to, where it's moving all of us to, is this place of understanding Yeshua's teachings. So the one I first started with, which was to love your neighbor as you love yourself. What I found is that being Catholic, I was always raised listening to that saying, oh, love everyone like you would love yourself. Love everyone like you would love yourself. Which means that you would probably want to treat the person better because you want to be treated well too, right? That's the thinking of this, right? But what I want to propose is something a little different. This embodies a little bit of shadow. And I think it's a little more profound and it's a little more deep. I feel like Yeshua was actually giving us a clue. Okay, I think the only way you could truly actually get to that level of vibration or understanding of this loving your neighbor as yourself is that in order to be in that headspace or that conscious awareness of the Christed space, right, you have to love yourself in order to love your neighbor. And I'll explain why. Because like myself, like I said, in my past self, or others in their past self, we all started transforming in this ascension journey. We all moved into the Christos consciousness. We all realized that we were more and more sovereign than the beings that we were told we were our entire lives. I understand. I'm totally right there with you. But in some parts of our life, let's just be realistic. There's a spectrum. We went from maybe between these two. I'll be honest, because I have been to both in my past life, where I truly despised myself or loathed myself, or I was just like in the middle, just an insecure person. Now, why you won't actually satisfy that statement is because when you despise yourself, let's say, and please don't get me twisted. I know that there's going to be a sense of ego that comes out and says, who would despise themselves? Trust me, this is how you would probably know that you're despising yourself. Because it's actions, it's things that you do that kind of showcase where you are in your conscious mind space. Okay? So let's say, for example, you're someone who gets approached by people, and let's say they don't agree with you. This is the whole premise, non-agreeance, let's just say, as the trespass, okay? If you're quick to anger, or if you're somebody who continuously self-sabotages, like in order to get through the day-to-day or the person's interactions, etc., you're handling vices, or you're using a lot of hate speech to get your emotions across. Let's say you're so boiled up with emotions, but what comes out is a hate speech, or I would say that you're probably in this space where you don't really like yourself. So when you're in this headspace, and let's say, for example, you hear that line, love your neighbor as you would love yourself, right? If you're in this headspace and you don't really like you're probably not going to love your neighbor either, because it's impossible. You're not showing that love to yourself first, or understanding that maybe you need to work on some things in order to even satisfy that statement. So therefore, you would need to be moving just on the spectrum before it could even be understood. And that's where I think a lot of us that were ascending, not to say that we hated ourselves fully, not every day or wherever, but I'm saying as we moved through this journey, there could be a lot of you that were in a lot of guilt, a lot of self-harm, a lot of different places, because of a lot of the times when we're hated and persecuted so much, we take it as wounded warriors that we can be. And we may be at a place where we just don't like ourselves that much. But if we are someone who is trying to follow Yeshua's teachings, I feel like it starts with us. So if you move from the despise yourself section of understanding or sovereignty or worth, or like knowing you're worth more, you would probably be someone who's on the average, insecure about a couple things, maybe some looks, maybe how you perform at work, maybe how you do in social settings. This is the more median version of like the everyday person. And I was there a lot of my life too. I was in the middle. Sometimes I went here, but sometimes I went back. You know what I mean? And how you can know that you're in that state versus it's like as if you were to love your neighbor in this state, you would be giving them half. Like you'd be giving them as much love, but how much of it is real? And that's where the insecure version comes, because you'll notice that, let's say, for example, the person that's in the middle would probably show someone the kindness and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. But really, when they turn around, they slander you, or they perform gossip, or maybe they're in a slight underhanded competition with you, or they use their superiority of things they may have, like their class system, or what, monetary gains they have, to kind of always seem bigger than you. And also at the same time, they tend to be jealous, or you would tend to be jealous, or I tended to be jealous. And so when you're in that mind space, okay, meaning that that is your truest altruistic personality type at the time. Like, don't get it twisted. I've been her too, okay? I remember times that I just used to do it, and it wasn't until I was on this journey that all the tests and all the tribulations was showing me that I was this girl, that I was that girl. So after certain times of shadow work and after certain times of self-discovery and after, but this I was starting to realize maybe 4 years ago or so, right before the ascension started, but I still was in the middle. You know what I mean? So I couldn't fully love my neighbor. I couldn't love my sister. I couldn't love my family as honestly as I wanted to, because I was still an insecure person. I didn't love myself fully. I still doubted myself. I still tripped up with myself. So the reason why you do this or I do this or anybody does this is because they're actually deflecting. Like, most of the time, why we're doing this slander or gossip about somebody is because we don't want people to pay attention to us and our lack. So what we do is we say, hey, over there, go look at that person over there. But really, it's because we're insecure about something that maybe we're talking about to the person, so we just shoot it at someone else. So that means that we're showing that insecurity. So therefore, we couldn't love our neighbor fully, if you get what I'm saying. And the last one is, as you shift through this time and as an ascender, you'll notice that you're starting to get a lot of tests to do with this particular one. To love your neighbor is to love yourself. Because when it says love your neighbor as you would yourself, if you were to show the utmost love to your neighbor, it would be and only when you truly love yourself. So you'll notice that a lot of the tests that you're currently going through right now, why you're getting persecuted so much, why you got so many people hating on you, why you got so many people just negging you, why you have so many, is because it's designed to show you, how do you tread? How do you move in this time? How are you going to learn in this time? How are you going to gain in this time a perspective different because of how many are coming at you as you ascend, as you rise? Because the vibration changes, everyone starts to get weird around you. You don't know what to do. You'll notice that you're getting malice. You're getting a lot of these insecure people coming at you, and even some of these people coming at you. But you start to realize that God's speaking with you the whole time. Yeshua's coaching you the whole time. And they're trying to move you to this place where it's like you start to love yourself. So what happens is that you start to want to help people more, and you hope that everyone is doing great. Doesn't matter how they feel about you. You hope, and it's genuine. Because the thing is that you know that they may be in this place insecure, or they may be in the despising themselves category. And you'll get test after test after test to see if you start to shape into that, or not even into that. Like, you start to elevate into it. Okay? You start to positively affirm others versus, let's say, being competitive, versus slandering people. It's like, for example, when you see people doing well, you're like, that's amazing, that's great. And you actually mean it now, because you're no longer insecure. You're actually at a place where you love yourself. So you're a whole individual. And this comes through the ascension process. Like, this is years, this is time, or until you get to that place where you're in this complete place of love where you can love your neighbor wholly. And it's a place where you find that you have mutual respect with people. And it's also a place where you want everyone to rise with you. And I know firsthand that I am so guilty of this. And I've had to do my own repentances many, many times, even though it was years and years and years ago. But it was because I was someone who kind of hoarded information at times. I was someone who wouldn't prop up everyone at the same time, because I was still in this place of maybe competition. I was maybe a jealous person at times. Like, I would be like, oh, I wish I was that person, or look at them in that dress. I wouldn't say that I was very flagrant, but I'm just trying to say, why was I doing that? And it was because I wasn't in a complete place of loving myself, knowing what I own, knowing where my strong suits are, knowing where I lack, being okay with that lack. All of these things bring you to this place of loving your neighbor. So when you are posed with Yeshua's teachings about loving your neighbor as you would love yourself, what Jesus, I think, was trying to show us was that they would be at par. The minute that you love yourself is when you would love your neighbor. And I think that's the point of it. It was never maybe stylized that way, but I feel like I could never have loved my neighbor if I was in still of a place where I was just so depressed, so I despised things. Usually when you're in this place of despising, you'll notice things aren't working your way. And I'll say this, for these two places, you could even go into some victim mentality because you start to feel like everything's happening to you, not for you, especially in this place. You're blaming the world for everything. I've been there many, many times. So I can honestly say in the ascension journey, that is one of the things you're going to traverse. This is one of the tests that you're going to have to work through to get to a space where it's genuine and honest, where the heart is open and it's allowing for this actual past to happen. Like, even if you are trespassed, you're already in a space where you love yourself. So it's like you accept what's happening. And that's the next one I wanted to talk to. It was about this idea of forgiveness. I'll go to this one last, but I'm moving to forgiveness because I think these two work together best, if that's cool with you guys. Coolio. All right. So forgiveness is another one. This is just how you actually treat people. But forgiveness is a little different because, again, it starts with forgiveness of oneself. Now, why I say they correlate is because how I got to this, how I stopped despising myself, how I got out of insecurity, was starting to forgive myself for my trespasses, for my transgressions towards others. There was so much in my life that I denied these things in myself, and that's why shadow work is so important. Our ego tries to protect us from these things, from facing the real truth of that. We hold a lot of guilt, a lot of suffering, a lot of pain within our heart chamber, our chakra, whichever way you want to put it. We hold it. It could even be in our gut. It could even be different chakras for that matter. Even if, let's say, you've been abused in different ways, even when it comes to physical, you'll notice that different chakras harbor these blockades and they are something to really be challenged, okay? So forgiving of oneself comes from learning how to do this with others, but also at the same time, always successfully trying to do this for oneself by repenting, by realizing what we've done wrong. But let's say, for example, somebody does it to you. Now, Jesus was always like, treat others as you would treat yourself, as we see up here. But we are also asked by Yeshua to forgive others, even if they trespass against us. As we know, Yeshua was probably trespassed on more than anything in the world. Like, we as chosens know if we're somewhat walking through Yeshua's path to a degree, because it's like when all of these people come out of the woodwork and start hating on you for no apparent reason, you start to realize you're like, whoa, just me being me starts to push a lot of buttons everywhere. And the thing is like, as you start to reach inside, as you start to learn Yeshua's teachings more wholeheartedly, more fully, actually walking them instead of just saying them, you'll notice that forgiveness is another one of those tests that you seem to get over and over and over again. I speak to this because in my time when I was ascending, I had to forgive my twin flame. I had to forgive my ex, my son's father. I had to forgive all my friends that betrayed me. I had to, even in a couple weeks, I'm going to have to face one of my biggest people. Like, I have to go in front of my cousin and I'm going to have to see if I have what it takes. And I think the thing is that I've forgiven her a long time ago. I forgave myself for my parts in it, but I'm going to be running into her in a couple weeks and I'm going to have to see if I am walking the walk. And this is why I came up with this video, because I was like, you know what? After all this time, I don't feel any malice towards her anymore. I don't feel, so I'm saying, like, you're going to get tested and tried a lot of this time, a lot of this journey. And I feel it's to understand, what does forgiveness mean? Because when somebody trespasses you, not only does it hurt you, but you hurt them. It's kind of like a reflective mirror, right? Because you're both walking away from each other in a sense. Now, how you take it could be into the vendetta, trying to seek revenge, or it could be in the swallow it and hold on to it stance, where it's like festering, or you go to the area of forgiveness, which is to just release and give it up. To give it up to God, which is a lot more of a release of control. That's really what it is, because I was getting tested my entire existence when I was on this journey, showing me over and over about how to get to this place of release, how to give it up to God. And not only that, like I said, you are walking with God in this time when you're ascending, and you are trying to embody Yeshua's teachings. So let's say, for example, when you get hurt by people, if you're still in this place of spite, of revenge or, you know, showing malice to the person. That's why I said it's like on this range. And I'm giving both. I don't think that I have you guys on this channel, but you never know. Maybe you're just in a really low point and this is where you're at right now. It doesn't mean you have to stay there. You can always move. But the next one is when I would tie it into the insecure person, being which, because what happens is, again, you save face, you put the mask on, you swallow the situation, you swallow the transgression, you swallow the trespass. And what happens is that you hold on to it, and it's like you basically don't ever face the person directly. The last one is release, whereas like you could even see them or not see them. And either way, it's like your emotions aren't stirred by what took place, because it's like you've allowed it to be moved out of your space, your head space, your emotional body space. You've managed to really release it. And you know you've really released it because the minute, like for example, like I said with my cousin, right? I'm going to have to run into her and like, you know, there was a time where that would have like either scared me or angered me or frightened me, or, you know, maybe, you know, I would have been in this space in the insecure, and maybe I would have been like, oh, I'm sick, I can't make it, you know, and that was where I probably would have been. But now it's like, I'm going to face her. It is what it is. And it's a time in space that we're going to share together. And that's the way I look at it. Will it be different in person when I actually see her? We'll see. But I feel like I'm at this part because it took me years. Like I haven't seen her in 4, right? So it took me 4 years to get to that place. And I think I got there a while ago. But what I'm trying to say is that in past, I was in a place of like vendetta, victimness, stuckness. And then I maybe moved to the, oh yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm fine. This is the I'm fine middle ground. And then it's like, release is more like the que sera, whatever will be, will be. This is guided by God, and this is guided by Yeshua all through the time, because you end up going through not only one transgression, like I said, you're getting hit with like so many more persons that have abandoned you, that have, you know, dismissed you, you know, decided that you weren't worthy of their attention. There's so many different hurts that I felt all through this ascension journey that I have never had to process in my life. And the thing was, is that not only did it make sense, not only was it warranted, but at the same time, it was all testing me to bring me to a place where I understood what this release meant. Like I said in videos past, when I had to, you know, not rat out my ex, okay, when the cops showed up, and I could have told the cops like where he was. If you guys never followed me, I had a really bad baby father, and I had an opportunity, and this was like maybe 8 months in, 9 months into my journey, and God was saying to me, don't do this, don't go to vendetta, don't seek revenge. It was so easy, it was right there. Could have done it, right? It could have supposedly made me feel better, right? I got it, I got in on him, you know. And after everything he had done to me, it was like it made the most sense, right? But God was asking and saying, Ashley, you know, like, this is your moment to shine. This is your moment to move. You know, move these 3. You know, don't seek revenge. Hold on to it. You know, transmute, get through it, and then get to a place where you can release it to me. Let me handle it. God was like, let me be the one. And I will honestly say at this present moment, I had said in maybe a video 4 months past, God, help me release it. So please, if you're ever in this space of wanting to learn forgiveness, this ascension journey is going to coach you the entire way of how to get to this place of release. Because in these 2 situations, you're always the victim. Always. And here, as you release it, you're actually the victor, because you actually feel victorious. You've overcome something that you thought you couldn't overcome. And then also at the same time, in these 2 situations, you're always stuck. Your emotions are stuck. You're stuck as a person. And why? Is because this is the only form of moving on that you'll ever get to if you actually do these things. Because if you're actually in a place of spite, revenge, and malice, you're stuck. If you're in a place of passive aggressiveness in the middle, or internalizing the pain, you're still stuck. And then if you get here where you feel lighter, you'll actually feel lighter, like burdens have come off of your shoulders. You'll feel more trusting, you'll feel more free. And like God's also going to show the same forgiveness to you too, because it's like you learning this idea of transmuting what forgiveness means and giving it up to God. God knows that you're actually attempting something very out of the realm of what is most normal to us to do. So it's like that leap of faith also kind of returns and shines back on you. And I'm not saying that's why you should do it. That's just like a proper parting gift or something. But it seems like God does, love that you embrace the all and source to, cradle you and take care of you in that way. So I do feel like Yeshua is trying to show us that even in forgiveness, like these motions happen within ascension. And that's what a lot of your tests are going to be about. The last one was the simple verse about give a man some fish or teach him how to fish. And I'll make this one short and brief because it's not as long. But the difference becomes between the two, I'm not even going to do a middle for this one, is that you move from the reliance of others, okay? Because when that man was asking, Jesus to help him get some fish, Jesus was like, no, I'm going to teach you how to fish, versus you having to come back to me, every time you need some fish. So he took the time to teach the man how to fish. So what that does is it puts the person in a place of abundance, of true knowledge. Where most of us we're reliant on others for knowledge. So we don't trust in ourselves. We don't believe in what we can do or what our function is. And it's like as if we feel like there's a version of scarcity that happens. We're unsure of ourselves, and we have to find reassurance from others to help us understand if we're connected or if we are in touch with God. Let's just put it that way. Whereas if you're on the other side where you feel like you're part of the abundance of all and you have true knowledge, like the acceptance of the knowledge that you receive from Spirit or from Yeshua or from anyone, it's like take that and know that it's yours, right? Then it's a sense of worthiness. You are uplifted by that, and you are also self-empowered. And I would honestly say that through the time of ascension, that's why it's so heavy, because all the trials and tribulations are not asking you to be dependent on or reliant on others to show you how to get to God or how to be with God or how to be one with Source. And in this instance too, it's like once you have that knowledge and you want to share it, let's see, there is a place when you get to here where you feel like everything is abundant because you have learned through your trials and tribulations. It's like a genuine, thorough understanding of why you had to learn, forgiveness this way and why you had to learn love your neighbor that way. Because the thing is that Yeshua is trying to teach us. Okay? He's not trying to give us the fish. So this ascension journey is all about us learning how to fish, not about just thinking that the fish is going to come to us. I know that's a weird analogy, but I truly feel like how this whole ascension journey kind of plays out that way, because a lot of us will be like, why did we have to go through this? Why did we have to learn these hard things? But it's so that we can master these elements. He was showing us that in the way that it came up, I don't know, over 100 times, these types of two situations about loving your neighbor and having forgiveness even for your enemy. And how do you get to that place where you can truly forgive your enemy? And I just wanted to share this. And I think that this may be a take on how Yeshua was coaching us all through the Bible, showing us what our trials and tribulations were going to look like in our ascension journey. And if you are someone that doesn't understand why you're going what you're going through, I hope this message brings you a little closer, brings you a little solidarity to know that you're not alone. Maybe you're at the beginning, and I think this would be really helpful because I was totally blindsided by most of everything that was happening to me. So think about Yeshua when you are going through these things. Ask what would Jesus do and really work towards it. And I'm sure God's holding your hand to in that direction anyways. But I love you guys, and I hope you have an excellent, excellent night. If you like what I'm saying, please like, please share, please subscribe. Do what you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good night.